Okay, let's see. Why is this not working? Okay, give me 1 sec. What a shitload of fuck. Okay. There we go. Okay. All right. Sorry, everybody. Just 1 second. Just my recognizing my actual mic. That's something else you're hearing at the moment. Let's see here. Audio. Where is my? Okay. Yes. Does OBS just have trouble recognizing? There we go. Okay. There we go. Hopefully the audio's okay. Hopefully the audio's okay. Let me know if it is. It was going through my webcam for some reason instead of through my mic. So let me know if the audio's okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy to announce, as is the title of this stream, that it's over. It's Jover. The Russia-Ukraine war is officially over. Everybody can go home. When Hamas attacked Israel, that means it is the end of the war. We can forget about it. It's not the current thing anymore. Take down the Ukraine flags. We're going to go on Twitter a bit later, and we're going to check and see what flag people have up. Take down the Ukrainian flags. Ukraine doesn't matter anymore. Fuck them. They're greedy pieces of shit. I issued a statement on this, which I'm going to read for you now. I'm going to list something because it's just old. I don't even want to think about this anymore. Those people in Ukraine who claim to be suffering while Israel exists. Okay, so I'm just going to read this statement. I would like to issue a statement condemning Ukraine as a deeply anti-Semitic country for saying anti-Semitic country for saying that they are suffering while Israel exists. The last year and a half of total war are nothing compared to Friday's attacks. Like some people are saying, look, Argent, like 40% of Ukraine's population has fled or is in occupied territory. Hundreds of thousands of Ukrainian soldiers have died, but Israel, like they took some casualties, but their country's probably going to be fine. Their economy wasn't destroyed. Their military is completely intact. They're fighting an opponent that basically has no tanks, no artillery, no aircraft. It's rough, though. It's rough. We gave hundreds of billions of dollars to Ukraine that we could have given to Israel. And it wasn't, we didn't give it to Israel, we gave it to Ukraine. It was every dollar that was given to Ukraine was a dollar that was stolen from Israel. I'm going to read this because that's where the funds have to go. So this is the last time I'm going to mention Ukraine. Well, I've talked about the conflict daily for the past. It is no longer the current thing, and the damage Hamas did far out eclipses Russia's strategic bombing campaign. It's true. It's nothing. It's nothing. The only question left, though, is January 6th worse than the Hamas attacks? So both are, of course, hundreds of times worse than 9/11, the Armenian genocide, the Bangladeshi genocide, which no one remembers, the Rwandan genocide, the Second Congo War, the Pacific Theater of World War II, and the American Civil War combined. I just don't know which one is worse. It's like they're both not quite as bad as the Holocaust. They're both way worse than 9/11. It's the worstest thing ever. And people can say, Argent, it's very tasteless of you to make fun of it. A whole bunch of people died yesterday, but I have to make fun of it because I can't take the fake grief. I can't take all the people who are like crying and be like, oh, it's the end of Israel. It's another Holocaust. It's so insufferable and it's just so obnoxious. I just can't take it. Like, especially, and I'm just going to break character for a minute. Okay, so I'm gonna keep bringing up this issue until it's. I'm just gonna keep bringing up this issue. So we have in my mind, which is the most clear example of ethnic cleansing I think I've seen like since Rwanda at the very least. Um, of course, the Hill blamed Russia for it. Let me just see here. Like, people talk about ethnic cleansing in Ukraine. People talk about genocides and stuff like that. But this is like the most clear thing I've ever seen. Okay, so the population of there's 120,000 ethnic Armenians in the Gorno Karabakh. Azerbaijan invaded, destroyed it, forced them into an unconditional surrender. Um, so they're saying that the Armenian authorities say that almost the entire population have fled. Tens of thousands, perhaps 100,000 ethnic Armenians are leaving, and it's over. So, yeah, I think almost all of them have left now. And they left because they're pretty sure that the Azerbaijanis are going to ethnically cleanse them. So we had over 100,000 people who were just ethnically cleansed. Who knows how many people died? Who knows how many people were expelled from the other territories that Armenia took back? Um, Azerbaijan had taken back earlier. Yeah, I'm sick of. Thank you. Okay, Oscar Esquito says, "Hi, after watching from the hospital, your quality content is the best thing for recovery." Thank you, man. Unironically, that means a lot to me. I really appreciate it. I can't believe that people watch my my nonsense. Also, I'm sick of the Armenian Apostolic Church complaining about Islamic aggression. Israel has it worse. They do. Like, and it's such a perfect like comparison to show that these people don't give a shit. So, what do we know about the Armenian people? They've been kicked out of their homeland numerous times. Let me see Armenia, Roman. So I think Roman Armenia wasn't even in the same location. Yeah, like Roman Armenia was like in almost in a different place than modern Armenia is. It was more like in Anatolia. So they've been kicked out of basically all of their traditional territories. They've been completely kicked out of them. Uh, they've been ethnically cleansed in multiple genocides. They exist in some of these countries as tiny um, minorities that are viewed as merchants and scammers and people with connections to foreign countries who subvert the country that they're in. And they continue to just be kicked out of countries and massacred. So it's probably the most direct comparison I think you can really make. Do you think so, Rain? Rain thinks so. But no one gives two shits about them. Have any of you seen anything in the news that the entire population of an area got expelled and ethnically cleansed? Like, has any of you seen this? Like, no one. No one gave two shits about the Armenian people. Just like no one gives two shits about the cops. No one cares about them. No one cares about the Assyrians. No one cares about all the other people that ISIS killed. Fortunately, a lot of the Middle Eastern Christians were able to go and find new lives elsewhere in the world. It's really sad that so many of them had to flee to Latin America, but at least they're safe there, as safe as anyone in Latin America. But like I said, this is just how fake it is. This is whenever you hear these F slurs say "never again." We learned our lesson from the Holocaust. We don't tolerate genocide. We don't tolerate this. This I just want you to bring this up. Um, in honor of Indigenous Peoples Day, I challenge our Jewish brothers to um, support the Indigenous peoples of Palestine, just like they do in America. I think YouTube's just started showing ads on my streams, which I'm not really going to complain about because it means money. Let's see here. Yeah, but no, they just don't give a shit. Like we when we talk about and metaphysic, who's kind of my tsundere, brought this up when we were talking about the that Ukrainian Nazi guy. I don't think anyone even talked about how they killed Poles. I think they killed way more Poles than they killed Jews, but no one cares about that. No one ever talks about the Poles in World War II because they're white Christians. No one talks about the Poles. No one talks about any of the other people that the Nazis butchered. They don't even really talk about the disabled people anymore. It's always about the Jews and sometimes about the homosexuals. But all the like Poland got raped in World War II. Poland got raped by both the Soviet Union and the Nazis. And I do agree that the modern Polish government does use it in a really like cringy, pathetic way to try to get money out of Germany. But it's true. They did get completely and totally raped. Poland was devastated. Um, it was bad. But no one cares about them. Literally, not a single person. Other than maybe John Paul II. Maybe John Paul II cared a bit because he had to live through that. But no one cares about them. No one cares about the Armenians. No one cares about any of this. Why am I so quiet? Because people haven't told me to turn my mic up. So if my mic's too quiet, just let me know and I will turn my mic volume up. Our moral framework is that the Jews are God's chosen and everyone else is less. Yeah, Hungary also got. Well, I don't know if Hungary had it worse. Um, but Hungary had a rough time in World War II. I mean, everybody had a rough time in World War II. The Germans starved France during World War II. Oh, okay. Oh, in World War One. Sorry, I wasn't reading that properly. Yeah, Hungary got it worse than the Poles in World War One. Okay. Oh, now it's too loud. Just kidding. But and so that's why like I make fun of it because it's like, is it sad that like 900 or 1,000 Israelis died? Sure, but we're going to start World War III over this. The U.S. has sent two carrier air groups there. They're like talking about starting a war with Iran. We'll get to YouTube in a second, but sorry, Twitter in a second. But we have people openly calling for the extermination of the Palestinians, like openly, like people are saying. I think it was Crenshaw. Is like, let me just we'll look at one or two maybe. Okay, let's see here. Crenshaw. See what Dan Crenshaw has to say. Let's see. Uh, Trying to find war to end all. Yeah, this will not be a fleeting conflict in the Israeli-Palestine saga. This looks like it will be the war to end all wars. Um, it's different this time, and it needs to be clear that Hamas and the Iranian Ayatollah and all their proxies that this was a severe miscalculation. So he's comparing this to a world war. Everybody knows nothing bad happened during a world war. Large populations didn't disappear. Uh, there was no genocides during World War One or World War Two. What was it that Nikki Haley said? Nikki Haley also had something. How do you spell Nikki Haley? Only Hamas must be destroyed. Let's see here. Where is the thing that we have? It's time to make. She said like we have to kill everyone. I'm just trying to find it. End taxpayer support, freeze Iranian assets, provide Israel with all arms and intelligence it needs, place all regional governments in notice. Let's just go to war. Let's go to war. Um, I think Nikki was actually her nickname. It's like the like short form of her Sikh name. So before we do that, I just like there is a um this was something I came across online. The Israeli operation has actually already started, and this was leaked from an IDF officer. So we're just going to read through this, and if anyone knows what this is a reference to, um, maybe just hold off a little and post in the chat in a bit. The creation of special areas to be inhabited by Palestinians and the restrictions of the Palestinians with regards to residence and trading is nothing new in the history of the Middle East. Such measures have been taken as far back as the 1940s. These restrictions were imposed with the intention of protecting the Israeli population against the Palestinians. The experiences in Gaza and the West Bank after border walls have been installed showed that this method is the only one suitable for dispelling the dangers which emanate repeatedly from the Palestinians. It has become clear, however, that not all dangers have been removed by confining the Palestinians to one place. Security considerations require removing the Palestinians from Israel altogether. The first large resettlement action took place from 22nd July to 3rd October 1948. In this action, 300,000 Palestinians were removed. In January, no, I guess they didn't edit this. A second resettlement was carried out in which a further 60,000 Palestinians were affected. The IDF and police leaders have decided to enforce a large scale action which they intend to carry out in 3 days. The necessary preparations have been undertaken by the IDF Command, who have given the order to start this large action. Before the large scale action begins, the limits of Gaza have been blockaded by an external barricade in order to prevent the Palestinians from breaking out. The barricade will be maintained from the start to the end of the action and will especially be reinforced at night. When we invaded, so then that was just that was one post from a couple days ago, and this is a post from today. When we invaded Gaza for the first time, the Palestinians and Iranian terrorists succeeded in repelling the participating units, including tanks and armored cars, by a well prepared concentration of fire. Although firing commenced again, we now succeeded in combing out the blocks according to plan. The enemy was forced to retire from the roofs and elevated bases to the basements, dugouts, and sewers. In order to prevent their escaping to the sewers, the sewage system was dammed up below Gaza and filled with water. But the Palestinians frustrated this plan to a great extent by blowing up the turning off valves. Later the first day, we encountered heavy resistance, but it was quickly broken by special raiding parties. In the course of further operations, we succeeded in expelling the Palestinians from their prepared resistance bases, sniper holes, and the like, and in occupying, during October, the greater part of the so-called remainder of Gaza to such a degree that the resistance continued within these blocks can no longer be called considerable. Let's see here. I did not edit this properly at all. Maybe that's a good thing, though. Let's see. Considerable number of Iranian terrorists. If anyone gets what this is a reference to, please post in the chat. Let's see here. Let's see here. Just trying to jump ahead a bit. Within only a few days, it became apparent that the Palestinians no longer had any intention to resettle voluntarily, but were determined to resist evacuation with all their force and by using all weapons at their disposal. So-called terrorist groups had been formed led by Iranian Arabs, and they were armed and paid any price for available arms. During the large-scale operation, we succeeded in catching some Palestinians who had already been evacuated and resettled in Jordan or Egypt, but had broken out from there and returned to Gaza with additional weaponry. Time and again, the let's see here. During this armed resistance, the women belonging to the terrorist groups were equipped the same as the men. Some were members of the Hamas movement. Not infrequently, these women fired pistols with both hands. It happened time and time again that these women had pistols or hand grenades concealed in their underwear up to the last moment to use against the men of the IDF. Let's see here. Let's see. We have this one day we opened 138 sewer holes and at a fixed time lowered phosphorus shells into them with the results of the terrorists fled from what they believed to be gas to the center of Gaza, where they could be pulled out of the sewer holes there. A great number of Palestinians who could not be counted were exterminated by blowing up sewers and dugouts. Let's see here. I don't see anyone. No one's guessed what this is from. What this is a reference to yet. Let's see here. Night search patrols. Not infrequently, they caught and killed Palestinians who were used the night hours to supplement their stores from abandoned dugouts and for contacting neighboring groups or exchanging information with them. During the large-scale operation, we informed were the Israeli population was informed by posters that it was strictly forbidden to enter the former Gaza Strip, that anyone caught within Gaza without a valid pass would be shot. At the same time, these posters informed the Israeli population again that the death penalty would be imposed on anybody who intentionally gave refuge to a Palestinian, especially lodged, supported, or concealed a Palestinian outside of a Palestinian residential area. So they're going to keep occupying. Let me see here. Let me see if I can find. Okay. So what I did is I took the report from the SS officer who crushed the Warsaw Ghetto uprising, and I used some find and replace. I replaced a couple of things. It does fit decently well though, doesn't it? And it does. So let's go through and let's see what the people of the day are saying about Hamas, shall we? Okay, Hamas is doing mass murder. Uh huh. Let's see here. Do we know that any of the I'm not saying Hamas isn't like a homicidal insane death cult. I mean, that's clearly the case. But do we know if this shit is real? Like some of the stuff that's being put out there? Like a pregnant woman in southern Israel was found by Hamas terrorists. They dissected her body, her stomach was cut open, and they took the fetus out with the umbilical cord and let the unborn child slowly die outside of his mother's room. This is what these inhuman savages Hamas do to people. How do you know this? Has photographs, can't post it. So you can't it's this just obviously 100%. I mean, maybe it did happen, but I'm so used to The Boy Who Cried Wolf on a lot of this stuff. This is one of the cringiest things I've ever seen. 95-year-old volunteer joins the ranks of the IDF. Um, yeah, I guess he's a Holocaust veteran. Oh, so they deny it didn't actually happen? If what people are saying is correct. Oh, let's see here. I can't tell if these are like some of these are jokes or not. Let's see here. More than 40 babies and toddlers murdered, beheaded by Hamas terrorists. These animals are a disgusting bunch of animals. Hamas pigs must not be condoned in Australia by people who have been given a safe home. Maybe that did happen. Maybe that's possible. I mean, it's possible. I don't really. Okay, there's some video of Israel blowing some stuff up. Okay, here we go. We have some cringe.
I I it
Display.
I'm sorry. It's very excuse me,
Real boomers.
very difficult to look at these images, Jake.
Let's see.
And the human cost. And these are human beings. They're family members, they're friends, they're loved ones, cousins, brothers, sisters. Yeah, it's difficult, and I apologize.
Is it because it?
Of course, he has nothing to apologize for.
Probably thinks my.
I
Okay, here we
I I it I'm sorry. It's very excuse me, very difficult to look at these images, Jake. And the human cost. And these are human beings. They're family members, they're friends, they're loved ones, cousins, brothers, sisters. Yeah, it's difficult, and I apologize.
go. Let's see here. Yeah, there we go. So someone was like, so people have been talking about attacking Iran. They've been saying that. Wait, is this a parody account? It's been discovered that the bodies of Israeli hostage are being frozen in big freezers, tipped over like museum statues, and broken into many little ice cubes that Hamas terrorists are using for their drinks. Oh, okay, so that is a parody account. I actually like I can't even tell anymore. Um, what's a parody and what is it? Um, let's see what Brandon has to say about this. Our hearts might be okay. Let's see.
Strengthen our deterrence. The United States has also enhanced our military force posture in the region to strengthen our deterrence. And we stand ready to move in additional assets as needed to any country, any organization, anyone thinking of taking advantage of this situation. I have one word: don't. Don't. Our hearts may be broken, but our resolve is clear. The United States.
When did I say I was supporting Hamas? It, I don't think I ever said I supported Hamas. I was just making fun of like this of the like worship of Israel. No, I mean I've called Hamas a UN sponsored death cult numerous times. Um, so I don't really get why that would be. I don't know. I never said anything. That's I never said that I supported Hamas. If someone can find like a citation on that, I would appreciate it. Okay, so your whole tone is dismissive of the plight of the Israelis. Yes, it is. I don't get why that means I support Hamas though. That everybody has to run to the rescue of Israel, and like we have to send in, like the U.S. has to send in 2 carrier air groups. There are people calling for war with Iran over this, and like I even people were saying like, well, it's war with Iran's okay, but we need evidence of war with Iran. And it's just like, okay, we need to start World War III. I mean, that's just the way it is. Um, we will never fail to have Israel's back. Here we go.
We will. In this moment of tragedy, I want to say to them and to the world and to terrorists everywhere that the United States stands with Israel. We will not ever fail to have their back. We'll make sure that they have the help their citizens need and they can continue to defend themselves. In this moment,
Well, I didn't defend the Armenians, but it's bullshit. Like it's not. It's just. It's in this very like specific context. We have to like fetishize Israel. Like, but Israel's not in any actual danger of being destroyed. Hamas launched their terror attack. Their like attack. They killed a bunch of people. They took a bunch of hostages. Like the fate of Israel is not in doubt here. They're going to fight back against them, and basically just level the West Bank. Like, well, Israel's not America's ally either. What has Israel ever done for the United States? Can you list me some things on what kind of, like, when Israel intervened in Vietnam or the Korean War or the War on Terror or um, so Israelis who have been kidnapped by Hamas. Okay, we got this dude. Lynch Biden for Hamas attacks. Let's see here. Biden compares losing his son. Okay, here we go.
today, Americans across the country are praying for all those families that have been ripped apart.
Well, I don't support the U.S. giving money to Ukraine either. So yeah, I don't. So that kind of proves my point.
Today, Americans across the country are praying for all those families that have been ripped apart. A lot of us know how it feels. It leaves a black hole in your chest when you lose family. Feeling like you're being sucked in. The anger, the pain, the sense of hopelessness. This is what they mean by a human tragedy, an atrocity.
So like it's the US, because Hamas did like a terrorist attack and killed a bunch of civilians, is talking about starting World War III. These people are like, we want to go to war with Iran, we're going to send in the army, we're going to do all this insane shit over this. Like they're talking about genocide of the Palestinians and stuff like that. Like once again, I don't like Hamas. I don't like the Palestinians. I think they're like disgusting savages. At the end of the day, though, and here's the big thing, Hamas has no impact on my daily life. Zero. Israel has a lot of impact on my daily life. especially the daily life of people in the United States. So let's see here. Yeah, the U.S. State Department is totally on board with Hamas. Let's see here. Hamas funded by slave and organ trade. They're putting down protesters. Yeah, I know a lot of people have been talking about using banning people from some supporting Palestine. Let's see here. Okay, but I'm not a Protestant, and I don't believe that. So I think it's insane that they think that. I mean, at best, the whole thing is a grift. I mean, that's the sympathetic way to look at it. Is this whole thing is a grift to just keep paying the military-industrial complex money to send aid to Israel? Let's see here, the Hamas slave trade. Of course, the other thing I've okay, there we go. Not to kill a woman or a child or a worshiper in his monasteries. That's true. People do get suspended for flags. Let's see here. Okay, what is this? A third temple. Polite society must make them pay a price. Israel airdrops white phosphorus bombs on Gaza. Kind of looks like that scene in The Prince of Egypt where the fire's coming down from the ceiling. But so I'll say this about the Palestinians. So once again, Hamas is really fucked. They are a death cult. Okay. Okay. So Hamas is a death cult. Um, they are disgusting in a lot of ways. I've never been on board with the like. There are people who show for them and go, Hamas is based, like Hezbollah's based. Like my here's what I do say though, and I do sympathize with the plight of the Palestinian people on the whole, because like what are they supposed to really do at this point in time? They're basically live in like tiny. They live in ghettos. Um, they if you look at the West Bank, there's like they're confined to tiny areas in the West Bank that their water supply is cut off. Like today, like Israel's cut off the water, electricity, and food to the west to Gaza. So the people there are probably going to starve or die of dehydration unless they have reserves. And what future um, people have? Like realistically, what can the Palestinians do at this point in time? Like, can they? I don't really know. Also, they've been sold out by like other Arabs. Like the Arabs could just take, like Israel could just, sorry, Egypt could just take in the Palestinians. Jordan could take in the Palestinians in the West Bank. They could spread them out. That would be one way to resolve this thing. Like I think there's still refugee camps in the various Arab countries. It would be very easy to integrate these people, but they're just kind of kept around as a political prop for the various Arab countries that they could whenever they get in trouble domestically. So, what country do support peace. So I do think I am. If I'm sympathetic at all, it's because okay, how did Israel come into being? Okay. So what wound up happening is in 1940, I think it was, or was it 1918? When was the Balfour Declaration? So the Balfour Declaration was in 1917, wherein the Britain announced its support for the establishment of for a national homeland of the Jewish people in Palestine. And then this led to mass immigration to Israel over the last couple of years. For the next 20 years or so. We got, let's see here, Israel. Let me see if I can find it. The border gore that was originally going to be Israel. Yeah, so this was like the border gore of the initial partition of Palestine. So like this was never like gonna work. This whole thing is like just look at it. It sucks. So basically there was a war. I don't really recall who struck first. I think it was a combination. You had like Jewish paramilitaries and Jewish terrorist groups, but you also had like Arab paramilitaries and Arab groups. And basically there was a big fight between them. And a bunch of other Arab countries got on board, and it just turned into this brutal slugfest that went on for about a year. And by the end of it, Israel had managed to establish more or less what its modern borders are. Let me see if it shows a post. Yeah, so that was the UN partition plan. Um, these areas aside for an Arab state, was there going to be multiple Arab states? Yeah, it basically resulted in Israel's modern borders. Uh, there was also Sinai, which Israel had taken during the Six-Day War, but was given back to Egypt as after 73. Um, yeah, so yeah, it was a mess. Um, yeah, that's kind of the beauty of conscription is Israel is able to raise a larger overall army. The problem and like so one of the issues is with the current situation. No, I haven't seen the movie Golda. Is Israel has no strategic depth. Let's see, Gaza, Israel. Let me see if I can find a picture of the area as a whole. Trying to find like a current order outline. But yeah, like if you look at what Israel would be without the West Bank, there's zero strategic depth. Literally, just everywhere in Israel is directly next to the West Bank, and like it's so easy to cut the country in half. It was even easier given the original ones. So like it is rational. Like I'm not denying that it's rational for Israel to want to annex the West Bank. The country just shits for the birds. Um, yeah, like there was no way that they could live with that. Why weren't they given Sinai? Because didn't have a Jewish population. Sinai was taken in 1967. aka the Six Day War. I will say this: the Six Day War was one of the was masterful. It probably was one of the greatest military achievements in modern history, at least. I have a lot of respect for the IDF, at least during that time period. So they took it. The nice thing for them about the that particular war was it allowed them to was Sinai gave them some strategic depth, so Israel had some buffer territory. Yeah, so after the war, Israel took Sinai, all of the West Bank, and all of Gaza. Yeah, Carter, as part of the Camp David Accords, that was part of the agreement, was Sinai would be given back to Egypt in exchange for a permanent peace deal. Um, so, yeah, you had this weird scenario where Israel actually crossed into Egypt during Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur was like another was a so Yom Kippur was a military disaster for Egypt. It just they managed to take some territory um, beforehand. They took some territory and were able to claim victory and go home. And it was just such incompetence. Does anyone actually live in Sinai? This is an interesting question. Probably not. I mean, who would want to live in Sinai? Okay, 600,000 people. Keep in mind, Egypt has a population of like, yeah, 110 million. So, like, less than 1% of Egypt's population lives in Sinai, despite it being fairly large. Nobody lives there. Nobody cares about Sinai. Maybe there's some mining there or something, but yeah. Cactus pears. So, dromedary herding, Operation Eagle. So, this whole thing, I don't know where we're going to go. Replace Israel's flag with the Palestine flag. Okay. Let's see here. Uh, okay, I have a schizo theory. I have a schizo theory that I'm going to give out to you. There was no attack. There was no attack on Ukraine. Um, there was no. Oh, sorry, there was no attack on Israel. It was Russian disinformation. In fact, it was Russia who planned the attack. Now, I have a bunch of people who are like trying to say that Iran wasn't behind this. I don't know if Iran was directly behind this. They were certainly involved. They certainly knew something about it. Um, so he getting tan. Stop slandering my name. Yeah, I like how there's the parody republic of the parody account of that. There's another. So apparently Egypt told them about it. This attack sometime in advance. Let's see here. Oh, where is it? Here we go. Egyptian intelligence officials claim Israel ignored its warning on Hamas attack. Let's see here. A senior Egyptian intelligence officer um, has not been, said that claimed the country's security agencies downplayed the repeated warnings Cairo had issued over Hamas's potential strike. The official, whose identity has not been revealed, told AP News that the Israeli officials focused on the West Bank ignored the threat that something big was being planned in Gaza. So who knows if that's true or not? I find it impossible to believe that this was literally completely taken by surprise. That absolutely nobody was on board with. That nobody thought that. That nobody got any wind that Hamas is planning this massive attack. It could have just been incompetence. Okay, so here's my thought. Okay, so here's my thing. Maybe they found out about it, but they underestimated the whole thing. So Netanyahu was like, okay, we're just gonna let like a small scale attack happen. So like my the criminal charges against me and this whole protest and stuff can get overturned. Maybe that's what like the idea behind it, and then it turned out to be a way bigger failure than anybody was really expecting. I mean, a way bigger attack than was expecting. Anyways, that was the video. I didn't have a ton to say. I just had a couple things I wanted to cover. So God bless everybody. Hopefully this is over soon. Hopefully we won't have to deal with some sort of like anyways global war. There won't be a complete genocide of Palestine. The whole thing's just a clusterfuck. I mean, in the words of the late, the great Dark Side Phil, though, it is what it is. Nothing I can do.